JYNX, known in Japan as Regila, is a poker copyright-mon species in Nintendo and Game Freak's poker copyright-mon franchise. Created by Ken Sugimori, JYNX first appeared in the video games Poker Copyright-mon Red and Blue and subsequent sequels, later appearing in various merchandise, spin-off titles, or animated and printed adaptations of the franchise. The character is voiced in Japanese by Mayumi Tanaka and by Rachel Lillis in English. JYNX's design and humanoid appearance has been heavily criticized by the Western media, most notably by cultural critic Carol Boston Weatherford, who described JYNX as representing blackface after seeing the character's depiction in the anime. Due to complaints, Game Freak modified its appearance by changing the original color of his face from black to the current color, purple. Criticisms from OneUp.com and similar sources have persisted. Design and characteristics: JYNX was one of several different designs conceived by Game Freak's character development team and finalized by Ken Sugimori for the first generation of Pocket Monsters games Red and Green, which were localized outside of Japan as Poker Copyright-mon Red and Blue. Originally called Regila in Japanese, Nintendo decided to give the various Poker Copyright-mon species clever and descriptive names related to their appearance or features, when translating the game for Western audiences, as a means to make the characters more relatable to American children. As a result, they were renamed JYNX, a play on the word jinx. Also known as the human-shaped Poker Copyright-mon, JYNX is a female-only species that resembles short, large women. Originally portrayed with a black face and hands, JYNX's design was changed to purple coloration after racial criticism. In addition, JYNX have large pink lips, saucer-like eyes, white arms, and long, blonde hair. The clothes they appear to wear are actually part of their body, resembling a circular red bra and skirt. JYNX have no visible feet, and in the games leave no footprints. JYNX has a pre-evolution, Smoochum, which evolves into JYNX when it receives enough experience from battles. JYNX Poker Copyright-mon walk in a dance-like fashion, wiggling their hips in a manner described by Nintendo as seductive. It uses dancing to communicate, with the exact rhythm relying on its emotion at the time. The dance affects people, causing them to themselves dance with no regard to their actions. JYNX speak in a language that only other JYNX can understand, though the sound is described as similar to human speech. This trait is carried onto games where Poker Copyright-mon speak English, such as the Poker Copyright-mon Mystery Dungeon series, with the text appearing as combinations of XA-Sh-S, OA-Sh-S, punctuation marks, and/or musical notes, instead of legible words. JYNX are psychic, and can attack either by kissing an opponent or launching strange orbs at them, and can protect themselves with a psychically generated barrier. Appearances: in video games, in Poker Copyright-mon Red and Blue and their remakes, Poker Copyright-mon Fire and Leaf Green, JYNX is available by trade with an in-game NPC. It also appears in Poker Copyright-mon Gold and Silver, Poker Copyright-mon Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, and Poker Copyright-mon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because of the controversy of JYNX's skin, it was changed from black to purple in Poker Copyright-mon Stadium 2 and all later games. JYNX is the evolved form of Smoochum. Outside of the main series, JYNX appeared in Poker Copyright-mon Snap, Poker Copyright-mon Pinball, Poker Copyright-mon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time and Explorers of Darkness, and the Poker Copyright-mon Ranger games. In anime, JYNX first appeared in the Poker Copyright-mon anime in Holiday High JYNX when one of Santa Claus's JYNX was separated from him and Ash and friends helped to return the JYNX to her owner. The episode was not re-aired in USA because of the controversy over her appearance. However, it was placed on demand on 2011, so people who live in the States could very easily viewed it then. JYNX appeared again in the episode The Ice Cave, which was not aired in English-speaking countries for the same reason. JYNX also made a cameo as a doll that Misty wins. JYNX later appears in Poker Copyright Mon Orange Island series, in episodes still present in American rotations. JYNX made an appearance in a contest in All Things Bright and Beautifully. However, because JYNX had been animated with black skin instead of purple, her 13-second appearance was cut from the English dub. JYNX later appears in episodes 116 and 117 of Poker Copyright Mon, Advanced Generation, with the inoffensive purple skin color. Because the main order of these episodes would have been during February, which is also Black History Month, Kids WB chose to air these episodes out of order and air them in April after the Home Championship League episodes, as it would help build the ratings with the Grand Festival and Turn League episodes, and it would have avoided offending people during February due to the JYNX controversy. However, one exception was in the episode Hi Ho Silver Wind, where a purple JYNX had a minor cameo which aired in February. These episodes were aired in the normal rotational order in the UK. A trio of JYNX sisters were later depicted in the episode 3 JYNX and a Baby. These three JYNX were overly protective towards their sister, a Smoochum. The Smoochum evolved into a JYNX at the end of the episode. In printed material, JYNX's most notable role in the Poker Copyright Mon manga is being under the ownership of Lorelei in Poker Copyright Mon Adventures. Lorelei's JYNX is noted for having the ability to generate voodoo dolls out of ice using its ice beam. When Lorelei draws crosses on any part of the dolls using her lipstick, ice shackles form on the specified body parts of her targets, eventually freezing the victim over completely. Even after the victims are broken free, the freeze induces lasting numbness in the areas where it was applied. Both Red and Sabrina suffered this condition and had to seek a cure atop Mount Silver by bathing in the hot springs there. Another ability of Lorelei's JYNX is revealed in the Seaver Island saga. She can create a wispy band of ice around targets, with which Lorelei can use to track down using her powder case. JYNX has made a number of appearances in the Poker Copyright Mon trading card game, with the black skin design before the Weatherford controversy, and with a purple skin design after Nintendo regained control of the Poker Copyright Mon TCG. JYNX first appeared in the base set with her black skin design, but later reprints of this card have the purple skin design. Controversy and reception. JYNX's appearance and design have received criticisms in various publications. Children's book author and cultural critic Carol Boston Weatherford published an article in the Greensboro News Record alleging that JYNX's design bore a striking resemblance to blackface actors, an image considered racist against black people, and further described the Poker Copyright Mon as a dead ringer for an obese drag queen. She further attacked the Poker Copyright Mon in the magazine Advertising Age, comparing it to Little Black Sambo and suggesting its name is also a possible derogatory remark towards blacks relating to voodoo. Since then, the Jim Crow Museum at Ferris State University has listed JYNX as an example of racism in modern material. In response, Game Freak modified JYNX's design and localized versions of the games, a change which would several years later be reflected in the Japanese versions of the games and the anime series. In addition, episodes featuring the older JYNX design were censored, or completely removed from televised syndication by Warner Brothers. Criticisms still persist, such as OneUP.com which, in an article discussing the lamest Poker Copyright Mon of the series, referred to it as the infamous blackface Poker Copyright Mon. Washington Post writer Mary C. Morton described JYNX as having explicitly, albeit grossly caricatured, womanly features, and challenged the assertion that the games cross gender barriers with such. In their podcast, Retronauts, they emphasized it further, noting the design as creepy, and that it maintained the issue of racism still. IGN also criticized the design, characterizing JYNX as a transvestite midget in racially offensive makeup. Game Daily ranked it first on their list of the top 10 weirdest-looking Poker Copyright Mon, noting its design suggested the presence of breasts, and echoing qualms regarding its resemblance to blackface performers. Games.net ranked it fourth on their top 10 disturbingly sexual game characters list, questioning why the character was clothed in what resembled a slinky dress and push-up bra. On the other hand, the book Gaming Cultures and Place in Asia-Pacific defended JYNX's design, suggesting Sugimori developed it to draw upon the humor of Hitayuma, and described the design as oscillating between the poles of good and bad, as a result offering diversity within the game and inviting scrutiny from players. Games Radar described Magma and JYNX as the Romeo and Juliet of poker. Copyright Mon. Games Radar's Carolyn Goodmundson compared JYNX to the Gothita line due to both designs being based on an overtly feminine form, though describing Gothita's line as way less creepy. Author Laridana Liparinai described JYNX as an opera singer. Games Radar editor Carolyn Goodmundson listed Humanoid as one of the most overused poker. Copyright Mon designs, listing JYNX and Mr. Mime as one of the most infamous examples. See also: Poker. Copyright Mon episodes removed from rotation, a list of episodes of the anime removed due to various controversies, including an episode removed due to featuring JYNX. References. External links: JYNX on Bulbapedia.